We've been. So this is Savage Brushstroke. I'm Ralf Precious Gorgeous, and we're here with Joe Etzine. Please, Joe's a musician who we've crossed paths many times, and he just had a very interesting thought. If you want to please just finish that thought.
We were talking about how we're getting a lot of practicing done in quarantine. Just hitting the woodshed because now life is the woodshed. A lot of people. It is.
Wow.
It is.
Wow.
I mean, that's the dream almost. I mean, obviously, this is like not. This is a nightmare. We're living in a nightmare. But we were talking about finding silver linings after we laid out all the kind of dark stuff, and the silver lining is that we get to work on ourselves, a little bit, and focus a little bit on the top of the pyramid of, Maslow, the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know about that. So much of our energy is spent filling up the base of the pyramid that a lot of people, especially people who have to be working, multiple jobs, you can't stop to focus on like, who am I? Where's my like what fills my soul with joy, like these kinds of things. And in these times, people turn to the disciplines that force us to answer those questions, or force us to ask those questions and lead us towards others. So that's at least one silver lining that I can see, which is I don't know.
Yeah,
that gives me some hope.
This quote that I just saw, maybe it was a Chappelle quote, but somebody was just saying like how these are in these dark times, these are not the times for artists to rest or to sit back. These are the moments when we're supposed to mobilize. These are the moments when we're supposed to almost lead in a way and step up and say something and make something. So
we're on call.
Yeah. This is our regimen.
Yeah.
And we I mean, that sounds dramatic, but in some ways, I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah, man.
Creative friends like mobilizing in a way, and I'm sure, there's going to be utterly dark come out of this time, and I bet you there's going to be a huge spike of babies born in about 9 months. So. Yeah, it's wild.
I mean, yeah, you're definitely right. There's no preventing it.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, so I like to try to give context, and like I'm not sure. I feel like I can't quite remember. I know we've been in the same room many times, but I'm not sure that we've ever really met and talked.
We jammed. I'm always behind the guitar whenever you're around. Whenever you come, like with it's usually with Cremdella, with Mandela. We've been running these like hippied out hip hop jam sessions for a long time. We were doing it solidly from 2017 like through 2019.
Wow.
And yeah, I think it came through a couple times, and it was dope. It was just like a lot of energy crossing paths everywhere, and it was my job to basically just like filter, people in and out, and just keep the music flowing no matter what. And that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was it's a crazy experience. Anybody would tell you running a jam is a crazy thing.
What was that jam run out of?
Well, we did two. I feel like the ones you went to, we did one in Brooklyn Bazaar in the main room. There's like an arcade with and we were doing that every month, and we would play to Planet Earth. We put Planet Earth on the back on the projector, and we put lawn chairs out on the floor, and then just score music to Planet Earth. We turned the sound off from the video and just write our own soundtrack on the spot. It was some other shit. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Weird that anyone let us do that in a public space, just mess around like that. And then we used to play out of this brownstone as well in Harlem. This like crazy socialist cult. I don't know. That's actually probably not accurate, but what is it? The Uranian Philanthropy. It's like a collectivist artist enclave. People talk about the 1970s, and they talk about how it was like this heyday of artists living in the city, and everybody was broke and everything was grimy. and these people had this house, and stronghold for art making, print making, sending messages, and they had jam sessions there on every solstice and equinox. So we would do some of those, and I feel like maybe you came through.
But, maybe I did. Maybe I did. I never really. I never really was good at like knowing when those things are happening.
Yeah, it's just whenever I feel like whenever I put the call out, you know, if Mandela could come through, he'd bring some people, which was dope, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's always great about keeping tabs on that. And then I also know you from, I guess, in Merce's last few cycles. I feel like you guys were collaborating.
Yeah, we played a show
closely.
Yeah, over the summer. Last summer we played a show together.
Okay,
that was pretty dope. And yeah, we've been talking about making some records for a while, you know. And it'll come. It'll come. That's
yes.
the goddess. That's the goddess right there. Just like
yes.
One of the highest power levels you'll ever find in hip hop.
Yeah. Truly. I mean, I feel like we talked about it even a few times on this podcast, and every time we talk about it, it's always a very unquestioned. You don't question it. You're just automatically like,
yeah.
You know, and you really, some people, well, very few people just command that, and she definitely does.
You ever Dragon Ball Super Broly, and Broly gets off the ship, and everybody's just like,
yeah.
Merce gets like,
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. So, well, yeah, I feel like I want to, before we go forward, I want to like give you the floor to just, because I have you credited in here as musician. Like, I just want to give you the floor to like describe for yourself. You know, you don't have to be super eloquent or sum it up in total, but like, what would you say it is that you do as an artist right now? What are the things that you would, you know, fill out on a form right now if you had to describe what it is that you're doing?
A musician, an artist, a gamer, and a teacher.
Wow.
If I say like that's what I want to do, you know, that's what I do. That's what I do. I make art. I make music. I teach both of those things, mostly music. Whoever, you know, has faith in my ability to teach them, and then I game because I've grown up playing games, and I think that they are an art form as well, and I draw creative inspiration from them.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I went to art school. We had a huge, we had a huge like video game design segment, and like, I mean, sometimes I look at the credits for like a video game that's made, and I'm like, good God, that's a country made this video game.
It's like they're like major game studios are like movie studios.
Yeah, maybe even more epic than a movie.
What VR is about to be. VR is about to be.
I am not a gamer and all that stuff. It scares me a little. I'm very happy for how many people that it employs of so many different kinds of art.
What scares you, if I may ask?
Just like I won't touch VR because I'm very much like, I think I've done it once. Like I played a game once that somebody had, but I'm very much like, what if I love that world so much and I never want to leave? And I get very scared. But what kind of do you make visual art as well?
Yeah, I paint. When we could do, I don't know, maybe we could chat again. But I have, this is my music studio, but upstairs is my painting studio. And so I do oils primarily, and I draw. I do like a sumi ink as well. I'm trying to get into that. I'm not very good at it yet. You have to have no hesitation. But so yeah, a lot of ink and oils, and then just drawing and doodling. I used to do like more like figurative work, I suppose, more representational stuff, like a little bit more classical. And recently I've just been more interested in doing really abstract work inspired by nature and inspired by technology. And right now the music's inspired by the same thing. I'm primarily known as a guitarist, but I'm also a producer of like sort of a blend of my own kind of musics, the things I love: electronic music, rock, jazz, free jazz, electronic. Music really allows me to blend all those things however I want to, and even blend the visuals into it. That's like the things that I never had time to do. Like now I can finally really dig in, which has been really cool.
Sounds like you're like I've heard people say that like of the art forms, the most pure to art form, and pure is however people want to take it, but just dealing purely with feel and ideas and I guess colors, painting and music. Those.
Why do you think that is?
I think they're the two that they don't need any translatable words and they don't need any context.
Yeah.
They exist purely of themselves. Like books are defined by words and sentences and words are forming the ideas. They're bound by that language. I guess it's like the levels of language you're bound by, and like
language, right? Yeah.
Comedy is bound by language for sure. What else is bound by language? I mean, and even like if you go to the different forms of music, that's all bound by language. And I guess music is bound by like music notes and such, but like you don't look at that when you're just hearing it, So that's what they say, and I guess I kind of understand it. Like you can kind of throw any sound into the air, any paint onto a canvas, and it does mean something in and of itself.
Yeah, even if it's just an expression of the moment that created it. Which is, there are philosophies that say that's the most beautiful moment. It's all downhill from there. Just the moment of birth, just boom. That's that big bang, right? It's like we're recreating that every single time that we just lay a brushstroke down, or I pluck a note. Every note of existence. That's something we talked about with those jam sessions where we would play and we'd get real busy and we'd be playing all kinds of crazy nonsense, and then we were like, what if we calm down? Like what if we did like the moment of the first note we played is something really sacred, and just leave it for a time. Don't even pick up our instruments. Like just the second we play music, we're in it. And it proved to be that's like the hardest thing. I don't think we ever really fully succeeded at that. On it, like we came close. Like we had these like transcendent, really chill jams, but like to have that discipline of just like laying out, just chilling, like, and waiting for the moment of inception and just letting that happen. Because I noticed every time we pick up our instruments to warm up, that was the best shit. We put it down and then we go off and do other things and play again, and it would be not as good. It wouldn't be as fresh. And it happens many times. But like when we just picked up the instrument like that first time.
Yeah, there was a jump. There was a
Yeah. Like we needed to play. Like we just had to get it out. Like that's what you want to give to people, I think, in the moment. Like you want to give them like raw Genesis just right there. Like
that's so
bottle that. It's different every time.
That's interesting. In like in acting and in filmmaking, they talk a lot about Stanley Kubrick and David Fincher, and you're sort of this is not strict in any sense, but I think in acting and film acting, there's two schools of thought, which is like either your best takes are in the first three, or you got to do 50 to 80 takes and get around to that other part where you got to work. You got to go all the way around the world to come back to that freshness. Like, and you just got to do dozens and dozens of takes to get back to whatever essential, untutored thing that you had right at the top of that.
This is so true. That's so true. It's so true.
Could we go into the first piece that you brought? This would be the piece that's from a famous artist.
Okay. Famous artist, right? All right. So I took your I know I'm known as a musician primarily, but I took your definition a little bit liberally, and the artist who I'm honestly actually most inspired by right now is a professional gamer who goes by the name of Mango.
Nice.
He plays Super Smash Brothers Melee for the Nintendo GameCube, the 2000.
Okay.
Not that you play Smash. Do you know anybody?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you play Ultimate? Like you actually have?
No, I played it like as a
kid.
I don't know
right?
if I've played any of the recent ones, but I definitely know what this game is. It's like a lot of Nintendo characters, maybe even characters from other places, and they all have this opportunity to go to these different worlds and fight each other. And I've seen up to like 4 or 5 people fight at a time.
These days you can fight with like 8 people on the stage. But
wow. Yeah.
But the game that in question that we're talking about is Super Smash Brothers Melee, the second iteration. The first one came out in '64, and there's been a Smash for every system since on Nintendo.
Wow.
But Melee, the GameCube one was like just freakishly fast, like so fast, so precise that they had to tone it down in future versions because it created the skill barrier that was so high that the creator of the game, Masahiro Sakurai, was just like I want this game to be for everybody. I want it to be a party game. He wanted the version of the game where there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people on the screen just throwing items at each other, and like Diddy Kong and Mega Man and Piranha Plant and Mario and and now Solid Snake and whoever. That's what Sakurai wanted, and he achieved that in the newest version. Ultimate's dope, but Melee, like you play 1-on-1, no items, 4 stocks, and like if you can't outthink your opponent faster than your opponent is outthinking you, you're dead. You're done.
Wow. It's like a martial art. It's like a sacred tradition or ritual. Wow.
It's serious. The cult following is huge, and like I played this game casually at first, just like hanging out with homies in college, put it down for years, and picked up an interest in it kind of out of the blue, like late 2016, early 2017, and started to check back into the game. And I couldn't believe how far people had taken it. I'd gotten like a little into the technical aspects, but nothing too crazy. Because music, that was my tech skill, right? That was everything. But Melee is crazy because you're just doing the same exact thought processes when you're improvising in music as you are in Melee. It's like it's almost the same languages.
Whoa. Crazy. Talk to me about that.
Okay. How do I describe this? Like I'm trying to combo you in Melee, right? Like, what is a combo? A combo is one hit that leads into another hit, which leads into another hit, which leads into another hit. But if I'm trying to play like a line in music, like just like a bebop line, like do do da 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 da, I'd have to know my starting point, I have to know my ending point, and I have to know how to get there. And there is a roadmap, kind of like a stage would, you like that you would have in Melee with like platforms. We got in music, we got chords, we got harmony. So you can't play quite the same notes on a D7 as you would play on an A minor 7 as you would play on a G major 7.
Okay.
Follow me so far?
Okay, I think so. My music theory is very weak, and I'm ashamed about that. But
no, don't be. It's just different chords are different groups of notes. They're different groups of tension and release.
Okay.
That's all. Okay. You go from the tension points to the release points, and you could argue that you do the same thing when you're stringing together moves in Melee. Certain moves are defensive and stop momentum. And certain moves really just continue into each other. And if you're playing perfectly, you'll 0 to death somebody, meaning you will take them from 0% and all the way up to where they are at over 100% and KO them, knock them off the stage.
Wow! In one sequence of moves in a combo.
And if you mess up, you know, you drop the combo and then you get fucked up. And most of the time at the highest level, if you make one mistake, you're lunch. It's over. Like you just get demolished because everybody's real efficient in this game. And the equivalent in music is like you can mess up. Now the audience may not care. Like that's the difference. It's not at the end of the day, music isn't inherently competitive. We can make it competitive, but though it's most competitive, you could argue, in the realm of bebop and jazz, and hip hop carries that tradition, of course. You know, like battle rap. You could even start. You know, you could look at smash matches like matches of battle rap as well, because we're just trying to outthink each other, outplay each other, right?
Right.
We're responding to each other just the way that the two musicians would be responding to each other. Space, the amount of space that we leave is a huge thing in improvisation. If my drummer goes sha-doom, sha-doom, boom, doom, shoo-doom, sha-boom, sha-boom, ba, ba, da, da, ba. It's a conversation between a few different people, and it's no different for melee. You're just translating it in the form of an anthropomorphic bird and an anthropomorphic fox shooting lasers at each other. But the movement is so fluid that it can become expressive. And that's what I love about Mango, is that he's this player who people love, even if he like busters out and loses, even if he messes up real hard. He kind of lives and dies by this aesthetic that he's developed. It's a real genuine play style, like that isn't necessarily focused as much on victory as it is expressing a path to victory. He cares about how he wins. And I think that that's so amazing. It's like somebody like Bruce Lee has a philosophy about the way he fights, or a musician has a philosophy about the way that they approach their instrument, the voice that they have when they're speaking. Like one musician may want to use every note that he can to express what he's saying. Another may want to use the absolute minimum and only focus on rhythm or phrasing. Like those are aesthetic choices we're used to seeing in art, but it's a little bit. I don't know if you would maybe find that as much in like a game of like Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty, but not on other games. I just think it's like so interesting that Melee and StarCraft is like another one of these games where it's like very high APM, high number of decisions to be made, a high number of decision-making trees that you have to choose between in a very short amount of time. That's jazz.
Wow, that's fun. There's something like that I can think of as like, it's like a certain. I mean, the easiest thing I can compare in terms of sushi, where it's like somebody does this thing that you wouldn't normally think to call it beautiful, and you're like, it's perfect. You know, what they did, the way they did that was perfect. You know, Wow, that's amazing. Okay. Could you give just one example of like maybe an amazing game that Mango played that you're like, what? How did it just blew your mind?
There are quite a few. Let me give you the most recent one. I'm just gonna try to pull it up.
Okay.
And then this goes to the end, doesn't it? Okay, so again, I have to just shout out just the Super Smash Brothers Melee community, because this is a grassroots community. And they have really kind of built from the ground up an esports community. And I don't know, I don't know if you know a lot about the world of esports, but it's, you know, a multi-million-dollar industry. Huge events are thrown everywhere. You know, people make millions of dollars playing Fortnite and all this good stuff. The prize money is.
I think I heard it made $1 billion in the last year or something.
Yeah. I didn't want to overshoot it, but it's crazy huge. So Nintendo does not sponsor Melee or Smash even very much, because it's not a part of their kind of brand ethos to to promote competitive gaming.
Okay.
They're about family gaming, party gaming, explorative gaming. My fiance's upstairs playing Animal Crossing right now.
Right.
I love that.
Oh, that's their game. Okay.
Yeah,
And they don't even do that many fighting games.
Yes,
that
Smash
I've ever
is
seen.
a fighting game, but it's like the most accidentally. Melee is like the most hardcore fighting game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So much faster than any fighting game. It's like you aren't fast enough for the game engine.
Wow.
Like the human hands just can't do it. But these guys come pretty close.
Wow.
I'm gonna try and share my screen. Let me know if this works.
Okay.
I can do a Chrome tab. Let's go. How's that? How's that working?
Oh, there's another screen here. I'm gonna add it.
Let's go. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Wow, nobody's ever done this before. This is awesome.
Let's go.
How are we still in the big house 9?
Can you hear it?
How's it not over?
Yes, yeah.
Mango's still here.
I want to. Okay, cool.
They've been taken to the limit.
We got commentators. It's a whole thing, and these are.
Loading up Pokemon Stadium. Mango versus Zane.
Mango versus
Mango is
Zane.
the Falco. So Mango is the guy is the bird in the green jacket.
Okay.
Mango is one of the 3 very best players of all time, like in contention for the GOAT.
Okay.
He's definitely the wildest player of all time.
Okay.
Nuts. Yeah. He's like, I don't know. Like, how would you describe this dude? He's like, I don't know. It's difficult. We can get into that later. But Zane is the up and comer. He's like the young, like he's the new contender for like the next great.
Okay.
Mango's passing the torch.
Along with the players.
Oh.
We all get to experience the adrenaline.
See how fast they're moving?
I heard a Falcon.
Yeah.
No idea what's going on. I'm going to pull up the stream, but it's 50 seconds behind. Exactly what we're doing. Oh my God. We need a scout. And they're playing. I hear signs. We need a scout to tell us.
Wait, I don't know I don't even know what's happening. So he's the bird. Am I right?
Should I say that one more time?
He's the bird.
He's the bird. Yeah, he's the bird. He's
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, he messed up. He the Marth tried to get back. The guy playing the red swordsman tried to get back on the stage, and and he choked. In the moment he was just too choked up, and he messed up and fell.
Wow.
If you mess up once, you are lunch, dead.
Yes.
He could be dead here. Yeah. The stream went out during this moment, and everybody went crazy.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, dunked him. Mango's been exhausted this entire time. He had to win the bracket through losers.
Oh, he had to grow through a bunch of players?
Oh, yeah, like he had to like beat everybody to get here.
Wow.
Zane, like, not a scratch on him. He hasn't, like, I don't think anyone took a game off of him this.
Wow.
Just sailed into winner side.
Wow.
Woo! You see how he combos shine into daring to shine. I'll show you. Well, we'll slow it down.
The Mango Nation is expecting a first place finish here.
Mm-hmm. He's got the fan base. He's got it's wild.
Wow. Wow.
Zane's on his last stop.
Yeah, the bird.
The bird.
Okay, now he's died again. Oh no, he's back. Oh, now he's died.
Yes. Woo. He's really lucky not to die there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, okay. Just talk me through what just happened because that was way too fast for me to even understand it.
Okay. It's definitely one of those games where like I'm
gonna pull this screen out.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, I could slow it down. I could slow it down for you. I could like take you back to a segment and you could watch like move by move by move what happens.
I'm more. I think I'm more excited to hear just like what it is, even from that game, like what it is about his style that like really lights you up.
It's difficult to show you in one game, especially if you don't play the game. But the thing that most people say about Mango is that he keeps on, and it's in a game that's really hard to be aggressive. He keeps on going in, keeps on approaching. He keeps on finding ways to be proactive when everybody's trying to be reactive. Punish the thing that you're coming at me with. He wants to find ways to beat your option from every angle that is conceivable, and he will do whatever it takes to get those things to happen. And some of those things may involve killing himself by accident or putting himself in really disadvantageous positions. But he has this almost uncanny way of clawing back into the game through a combination of force of will and what I would only really call creativity. He's just so creative. He comes up with really unusual solutions to either extend his punishes. By punish, I mean like a combo, like just taking it as far as he can until he just ends that stock, or ways to just use the movement of the game to bait out an opponent's, kind of half-hearted attack. Like you said, it's like a martial art.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to jump quickly into the piece you have from a peer, and also I'm not done here. I want to see if there's ways it'll tie back. But
sure
about that. But because this Mango, just the name. I mean, I'm just partial to that name, and it just tells me so much.
He's dope
about the player. But what is the piece from a peer that you brought?
So I stayed on.
Want to talk about?
I stayed on theme here, but I gotta shout out my boy Tyler Loopy.
Okay.
He's a bass player in the New York region, but I met him through Melee. I met him by seeking. I was looking for people who were looking to improve, who were better, who were already pros, people who were just trying to grind. And we all kind of came together like over the last couple years, just through common friends in the community, to just play, to play some games, to train together. And I found out after the fact that he was a musician, jazz musician, and we played with some of the same people. And this guy has found a way, because naturally, like you're gonna find. I'm not the only person to like find this connection between jazz and Melee. Like we talk about this a lot, and I happen to find this guy who started to put in the work of developing a way to trigger MIDI and Ableton with Super Smash Brothers Melee, like with GameCube controllers. So like I'll go over to his place before the quarantine, I'll go over, and we would play. Sometimes we would stream, and we play Melee all night. But he figured out this system where you can trigger whatever sounds you want in Ableton through your GameCube controller inputs.
Okay.
So it required a little finagling, and he's been working on it, and it's now pretty damn smooth. You can just play a game. You'll watch it on the TV. It's just like normal, but it's almost like, but you know how drum machines work, right? Sample.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you assign like whatever, kick, snare, hi-hat, tom, orchestra stab. You could chop up a piano sample, a guitar. I did it with guitar. But I want to play my guitar with Falco. I did it. I play the Bird too. So I was like, okay, well, what sound would work? What chords would make sense with which moves? And we linked them up. We plugged them into the system that he made, and voila, it was my guitars coming out of my playing. It's like some other shit, some wizardry.
Wow. Oh wow. like the first word that I can think of is like, it's interesting that you are very interested in technology.
Sure.
I think musicians are already interested in technology because they play with instruments, but you're also interested in like computers, you're interested in gaming, you're also interested in nature. There's like this weird sort of like it's almost like a mysticism that you're involved in, of like you're trying to integrate nature and painting, relationship and gaming and technology and electronic music and all these things to see if there's a way you can create a connection with them to create that is seamless.
Yeah.
It's like you're through your influences and through your relationships, you're sort of like you and your community, you're sort of fashioning yourself to be some sort of techno wizard. It's so fascinating, dude. Oh wow, because that is wow. Because even then, like, it's not just that you've associated a certain move to a certain note or something, but it is also the frequency at which you do it, the tempo at which you do it, the rhythm at which you hit all of that is translating, I'm guessing.
All of that, yeah, comes from the game. It's and that's why like Tyler is brilliant. It's a new compositional system. It's a new way of composing music, because the motive is not really purely from sound. Rather, you set an array of sounds, a possible group of sounds that can be triggered, depending. But the actual intention is to fuck my opponent up real hard and smash.
Yes.
So I'm trying to string moves together, and the music that comes of it is incidental. It's the only control that I have over the sound, and like any continuity between the different moves is what I assign to each button, to Y to X to A to B to up to down to left to right. Shoulder buttons, whatever it is you keep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what you hear back is like this document of the game you just played.
Yeah. It's like this conversation.
For
some
reason,
sounds like a conversation.
Say that one more time.
I said the better that it gets, like when they do it, and when we did it live once. That was really cool. It sounds like a conversation, like it can, but it could also be like it sounds like lo-fi hip hop. Like it can sound like electronic free jazz, like robots improvising. It's pretty wild, man.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about the fact that it's two people playing against each other, so you can hear both pieces of music sort of against each other or in response to each other.
Totally.
Wow! At least two people.
Yeah. Oh god, we haven't tried it before. Ooh, that'd be nuts. But you could have.
It is jazz.
It is jazz. It expresses it. So Tyler Loopy, man, he figured out, and Tyler Clibbins as well is really talented keyboard player that plays with Tyler Loopy. Call them the Tylers. They've been working on this thing for a minute. It's what is it? Twitch.tv /lo-fi_improv. I'll message you the link.
Yeah, if you want to, I would actually ask you at the end to put it in the captions, any links to anything that you showed tonight, or shout out, and any of your own links.
Of course, yeah.
I think the last thing to add was, this is what you just made me think of, is that I'd never thought about this before, but I was watching, I'm only to the second episode, but I'm trying to get through during the quarantine. I've been trying for 10 years to watch the Ken Burns docuseries on jazz.
Oh, man.
So this is like, it's like in the forefront of my mind. And I was, there's early in it, I think Winston Marsalis and somebody else was talking, Winton Marsalis, somebody else was talking about how in jazz it'd be a lot of like, they would use their horns or whatever instruments to try to ape the sound of like a dog or a rooster or a person talking. Like they weren't just trying to make notes, but this, if I do that, it sounds like a chicken or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of like not just making the sounds to make musical sounds, but like making natural sounds as music.
Yeah, that's a different. I'd say that's a different thing, but that's definitely like getting into that realm of having different intentions and different motivations generate music for you. Maybe something that is similar to is like are the games of chance developed by like third stream composers, like from the Schoenberg school, where they would like roll dice and then determine like the notes, or 12-tone rows, which like you have it's almost like a game with rules where you have to use all 12 notes of the chromatic scale. It can be in any order, but then like there are rules for how you manipulate them and build out your 12-tone rows. That's like, you know, these are almost like computer-like ways of composing music, where you can say the music isn't so much the composition as the rule set that creates the music is the composition. And this is stuff that we're getting in the early 20th century. This is like contemporary, what they call contemporary classical music. So like, you know, after Stravinsky and after the Impressionists, you know, like we get a lot of, we've used all the 12 tones and all their different ways to be expressive, and these guys were like, what if we can be as unexpressive and neutral as possible? Like, you know, like, let's go away from tonality. It's all been done before. Like, how do we just do something a very modernistic way, I guess.
It makes me feel like that these things, all these ideas are
everything.
Sometimes, well, I feel like you and I meet sort of not in the middle, but you're like helpful to me because I'm very like, I don't want to say traditionalist, but like minimalist in what I enjoy. Mm-hmm. I'm very much like, what is the song? What is the idea of the song? Like, one of my favorite music quotes that I hold on to real tight is Quincy Jones says, "It's not music until it repeats." You know, so like those are things that I hold on to. But like the more experimental, like esoteric ideas, I can sort of stray from them to be learned, even if I don't adopt them myself or ever use them. There's so much to be learned in those ideas. So
totally. The music that I make, I'll drop links, you know, in the
please.
The music that I make is not like super avant-garde. I don't think. Other than that, I mess with time signatures pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I don't know. That's been done by a lot of people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm.
I like melody. I like expressive sound. I like repetition. I like rhythm. I love groove. You know, there are things that I necessarily want to abandon, and I love tradition. And I think that like, if you want to be a futurist with a sense of like purpose and responsibility, you will learn as much about tradition and history as you can. You know, especially, and I've been saying that about like just like hip hop. How hip hop's tradition is so deep, but I feel like if you are disconnected from it, sometimes it can be freeing and you can create something new and bold and awesome. But I think that like a lot of the music can lack depth. Sometimes it can get a little thin. Like you can repeat things too much. You know, you can start to kind of like, there's a feel that is lost. You know, and it's not. It's the constant challenge that we're always in is like drawing the best parts from history and respecting it while not being bound by it.
That's big. I would say that's really big in hip hop.
That was really big in jazz.
I've heard Robert Gasper talk about that.
Yeah,
let's say that again.
Hip hop going through all the same cycles that jazz was. Where do I draw the line between what created, like what is considered to be quote unquote real hip hop or codifying hip hop, or like, and you know, and then when do we start to call it a fusion or a different genre or something?
Joe, we have to. There's a couple people that I've talked to that I'm like, oh, we need to do a part 2. We must do a part 2 and talk about this because this is a huge area of interest for me. And when I heard Robert Glasper talk about it, like I very much like I just today watched 2 Rakim just because I'm like I'm not steeped in Rakim. I know Rakim, but I was like I should know more about him. So but like the interviews were difficult to listen to because the interviews were just people fawning over him and like, yeah, I tell the young boys they got to do their Googles and know about you. And it's like you're the Googles, you know, it's right here. Just ask him and make him tell me. Don't tell me somewhere else. It's right there. I Googled you to find this, and they're like, tell the young boys go and do the Googles, and I'm just like, this is why this traditionalist like finger wagging is what hurts it, because it's like it's not that I don't want to know. This idea that you're telling me that I'm not shit and I can't even start until I know, that is like that's not how you started. So why are you telling that to me?
If you love the history, share the history.
Yes. And don't put a barrier, an artificial barrier.
Yeah, don't gatekeep. Yeah, but that's a problem. Is this pride and ownership of the music? You know, your cultural take it's tough. You know, but I guess we'll talk about it. You know, we'll talk about it.
We absolutely should do a part 2 and talk about this.
But it's not like an authority. You know, like I come humbly to all like Black American music as a student and as somebody who like grew up with it and loved it, but I know also that like I wasn't born in the culture that really gave birth to that music. So like you know, I come at it from like a musical perspective, and I'm steeped in the history of the music that is the history of hip hop, which is jazz and rock and roll. But
about that too, because
it's all to me it's all in one lineage. But
yeah, there's a lot there.
But like you know, I would never ever want anyone to think that I'm disrespecting each individual tradition by lumping them all together, you know, because they do represent different moments, different generations. But music has this way of, and this gets back to, I guess, what we were saying in the beginning of like speaking to the ineffable, these things that aren't bound by language, by cultural boundaries, by ethnicity. Music, like, it's all vibration. It's something that we all share, and it's something that is maybe as close to being universal as we can get, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for that, I want to get into all that, even the race section of it too. I'm of many minds about, and I want to talk about. So let's put a bookmark. Yeah, let's definitely talk about this again soon. But I just want to thank you so much, Joe. This has been such a fascinating episode. So yeah, drop your links to all your stuff in the comments, please, so people can find you. And I really appreciate you, Joe. So let's talk again soon.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Much love, bro.
All right. I'm of many minds about, and I want to talk about. So let's put a bookmark. Yeah, let's definitely talk about this again soon. But